Good evening. What's the future for farming? It's an important question for all of us, whether we work in agriculture or simply eat the food it produces. No other industry was more closely associated with Europe than agriculture. Following the referendum, intense lobbying to shape the future of farming has already begun. Today, the Royal Welsh Show has given farmers the first chance since the Brexit vote to get together. Our Rural Affairs correspondent David Gregory-Kumar is there for us. David, it's a popular meeting place for Midlands farmers, isn't it?
It is indeed, Mary. They said here to me a bit earlier you could actually go all day just talking to Midlanders and never bump into a Welsh person. It's one of the largest agricultural shows in Europe, so it's not surprising at a big show like this. The big question is what's going to happen next when it comes to Brexit. Let's start with that most European of farming issues, subsidies, and meet the Staffordshire dairy farmer who wonders if we actually need any sort of subsidy at all.
The present system of a direct payment per area farmed is that it can increase rental values, which adds costs to the farmer to more or less the same amount as what the subsidy is. So that benefits landowners greatly, not necessarily active farmers. And this can be a big barrier to entry for young farmers and those who want to start out in the industry who haven't got that land base.
It's a radical idea, but this is the time for such ideas. Farmers are here discussing the outlandish, the unthinkable.
Brexit is a clean slate. It's a chance for the first time in a generation to decide how British farming should work.
For the Herefordshire strawberry farmer, it's about being able to pick his crop.
We're really worried, and we need the government to be really proactive in coming up with a scheme that'll help us find these people in much the same way as the construction industry, the care industry, the catering industry, all relying on seasonal workers from abroad to help us out and boost the economy.
In the midst of some pretty intensive lobbying, Shropshire-based Harper Adams University says it could well be a useful source of impartial expertise for everyone.
There are going to be things that we need to develop domestically that we've had provided by the EU over many years, in fact over a generation, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to try and create a new agricultural policy for the UK.
In 5 years' time, the face of British agriculture could be very similar, it could be very different, and it all starts here. So one of the big organisations, of course, that's going to be responsible for trying to shape this new policy is the National Farmers Union. With me is John Mercer from the NFU. John, let's start with the big question. I mean, you've been holding meetings in the Midlands in each county. What are those meetings about? What are you trying to do?
Well, firstly, we've been trying to inform our members what the implications of Brexit are, and then we're starting what's probably the biggest and most significant consultation we've had in our history, where we're examining all the options, whether that be on trade, support payments, whatever it may be, and we're taking that to the membership. We've got our key principles, and what we're trying to do is put the meat to that sort of bone and put the detail there so we can go to government with a unified approach as to what we would like to see as the best possible deal for British agriculture.
Well, of course, the big question people who are watching this at home want to know is what's going to happen to food prices?
Well, in the short term, food prices will have risen because of the exchange rates. In the long term, it is quite unknown. The reality is, or the most likely scenario is food prices will rise, but a lot will depend on the trade deals we have. But it's actually more about that. It's more about securing British food, safe quality, affordable British food, and making sure we're, as farmers, able to thrive and keep producing for the nation.
And of course, someone like Herefordshire, farmers in Herefordshire might be farming under, say, a Conservative government in Westminster, over the border in Wales, completely different rules coming from Cardiff.
Well, agriculture is devolved within Wales as run through Cardiff, and so you could end up with a different system. At the moment, we're looking very much at our key principles, which I think people in Scotland, Wales and England would all buy into, and we're going to take those principles forward, and then we'll have to recognise the differences that occur between the countries.
John Mercer, thank you very much for that. There's still a lot more talking to be done here, but it's the only topic of conversation here, and for many farmers, it is an exciting time.
Indeed. David, thank you very much.